Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining on this episode of Reboot. FQ, thanks. It was challenging whether you were going to come in today or not. So I'm glad you got things squared away and are able to join the broadcast today. I was ready to go on my own, but glad that you're here.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I had to take care of a few things, but I managed to come in.
Outstanding. Well, let's get right into this. So, listen, here's my thing: is I was looking I've been looking online, and something that I'm very passionate about is the environment and environmental issues. And with that being said, it's really interesting to me how we take and we've been seeing so much protesting going on. There's been so much argument going on about whose life matters the most, and yet at the same time, like it really is interesting to me. It's like, really, do we really care that much about life when we're taking the planet that gives us life and we're treating it like an absolute garbage dump and in many cases like a toilet? So in the interesting thing in my research for today's article or today's broadcast, to learn that Pakistan is in one of the world's most polluted countries. So I think it's a very timely. We can talk about the pandemic, we can talk about the virus, all that we want, and all of these things that are killing us. But yet at the same time, absolutely all over the earth, and we dump our trash everywhere, and we act like that has no meaning at all. Go ahead.
Bro, it's not just the trash. We don't really give a shit about anything in the world, actually. We do lip service until we are directly affected. Now, about this trash thing, my actual call to fame is that I used to go and do this endless shows about how people are just careless about simple things like pollution and like garbage. And Pakistan is a country where people casually throw shit out of their car, and no one stops them. But here's the thing: no one really actually gives a shit about it, and it's not like they're not aware. You take the same garbage and throw it in front of their house, they'll come out with a shotgun and try to kill you.
Yeah.
But while they go around throwing shit all over the place, and I've done endless shows, but I've gotten into trouble with people because I just stand up with the camera and I start live broadcasting. I record and I show on TV and stuff like that. But it's a global problem, and it's not just about it's not just about garbage. Don't kill the whales. Yeah, well, we don't really mind killing the whales. The Japanese are killing whales all the time. Don't kill for the fin, but it's okay to have some shark fin soup, right?
Well, here's what I'm going to say.
Really care.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think that's really what it comes down to, is that we don't really care. And I was actually reading something the other day, and then I ended up finding a video that went along with it. But what they're finding now is many scientists are now finding microplastics in human stool. So now there's just more and more evidence that we are ingesting this, and these plastics and so forth. And so it really, to me, I try to really understand this. And listen, I don't want to get into the debate today about climate change. I think we're seeing evidence of that. However, I want to take this. My whole approach to life is let's bring it back down and let's take it to the basics here. At the end of the day, I don't want to live in a shithole. I don't want to I don't want to ingest garbage, because if that was the case, I'd eat out of the garbage can. Like, what are we doing here? I just saw how COVID, how the virus is now taking and creating a whole nother, there's a whole nother side effect to it, which is all of the trash and pollution that's being created. Oceans are being filled up right now with masks, which is strange to me, FQ, because nobody's wearing them. So I don't know. I don't know where all these masks in the ocean and in the trash are coming from, because I don't see them being worn. So I think it's a really interesting phenomenon. And I have some articles pulled up that I wanted to kind of share with everybody just to illustrate this point, which is that if you look over here, if you look at this right here, I believe this is Faisalabad. This is Faisalabad right here, which I believe is near Lahore. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, this is nothing, my friend.
And see, I look at that and I think it's absolutely horrible.
Oh, this is nothing. You got to look at Karachi, my friend. That's where the real meat is.
Yeah. No, it is, but it's a bigger place. And the interesting thing is, when you look at pollution.
It's not the bigger place, man. The thing is, Faisalabad is a part of Punjab, where Punjab actually had or has, before this idiot came into power, we had a very, very good waste management system, and it was a really clean province. But Karachi, and you know what? Maybe I wish I had realized. I would have got the ex-mayor online. In Karachi, there is no system, and Karachi produces, I think, 6 tons of solid waste a day, and
six tons.
And there's no way of picking it up.
Yeah, that's crazy
most
to
of
me.
It is, most of it is. Sorry, wait. Oh, sorry. On daily basis, it produces 12,000 tons of solid waste, and it actually gets burned on the streets of Karachi.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because you can see exactly what that does. You can see exactly what it does right over here to when you burn all of that. So the interesting thing is when you think about trash, it's not just that we're burning it off of the streets. What we're doing is we're actually pumping petrochemicals into the atmosphere. That's literally what we're doing. And so not only we're taking and not just like living with trash, now we're burning it, and so we're breathing it. So we're eating it, we're living in it, and we're breathing it. I mean, I don't know. It reminds me of the saying that if you take and live like pigs, you're gonna smell like pig shit. I mean, so what are we doing here with our land? What are we doing with our land? What are we doing with our communities? I just think this is absolutely disgusting. I mean, here's another picture. Here's another picture as well. I mean, the you can see this. It's endless. Here's actually this right here. This is, I believe this is the Philippines. This is a whale that washed up on shore. This is the Philippines. So if the whale's eating this and we're eating part of whales, and because we're still having whaling, and I'm not really trying to tackle all of the environmental issues here in one thing. I'm just simply saying is like, let's stop talking about whose life matters the most when it's obvious that we don't really care about our own. Because if we did, we would not be living like this. We would not be living like this.
I wish we were selfish. We are not selfish. Because when you're selfish, you want to live a good life. To live a good life, you create a good environment. Just beautifying our homes means diddly-do. When if you open the window, you see shit all over the place. And you know what? It's not just this madness. It's pollution of all kind.
Absolutely.
What Sumatra does, what India does, what the Philippines does, what the United States does. It's not just garbage. There's all kinds of other pollution. And just because of this COVID, there was this, NASA had done this thing that, the Earth's ozone layer is healing itself. So Earth can heal itself if it wants. Earth does not need us. Somebody did a fantastic show and said all the Save the Earth bullshit. He said, keep that to yourself. We just arrived only a few 100,000 years ago.
Right.
Earth has been there for a few million.
Right.
So Earth knows how to get rid of filth. We just don't know. Maybe there was another generation or another humanity before us, which Earth wiped out. Earth, you don't have to save the Earth. Earth is going to eject us and get rid of us.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think that I think we can see that happening. I mean, we have actually we're at the point of taking and we have contaminated our food supply. So I mean, we can sit here and talk about GMOs. We can talk about processed foods. But at the end of the day, we are the ones. We are the ones taking and throwing trash away. We're the ones that have created systems to manage our refuse. We're the ones that continue to mass produce things like plastics, I know I showed some different, I showed different countries. The U.S. has the same problem. U.S. has the exact same problem, and so it's not like we're any different at this point. It's just simply that the world has a problem right now, and I'm saying I guess it's easy to take and jump on a bandwagon. And in human rights atrocities, They're in oppression. We've talked about that. It is bad. It is horrible. But look at how we are oppressing ourselves. What future are we leaving to the future to the next generation? What about my great grandkids? Your great grandkids, FQ? I mean, what kind of world are we leaving them when we take and just throw our trash anywhere that we want? And please understand, I'm not talking about big corporations. That's something that I don't know that this show, or I know I don't have the ability to take an impact change where that's concerned. But what I can do is make sure that my trash goes in the garbage. I recycle what I can. And on that topic, I just want to say, like, we're at a point, we have reached a critical point in this situation because we're no longer able to recycle our way out of this mess. Go ahead.
You're taking me to, my whole media career is basically revolves around this spiel. So you're taking me back to my 15 years of ranting, and eventually
Excellent.
I gave up. I gave up eventually. I was like, you know what? It is impossible. It is actually impossible. And somebody mentioned a cleaning campaign. I'm totally against cleaning campaigns. Because you know what? Why do you take children out of schools to the beach to clean the fucking beach somebody else made filthy? What you're doing is, we want the children to become aware. You're not bringing awareness to the kids. What you're doing is you're telling those motherfuckers that they threw the garbage and yet it's not there. What you got to do is you got to find the asshole who did it and crucify the mother. I don't believe in picking up anyone else's garbage. I refuse. I want you to create a force. And you know what? It was even called People's Action Movement, PAM. I created this whole movement where people should record and internet shame anybody who threw garbage. I mean, my Google Photos has had like thousands of pictures and videos of this because it really bothered me. And I was like, and you're saying, what are we leaving for the future generations? Fuck the future generation. What are we building for our own old age?
We're seeing what we're building it.
We are living in hell.
We're building
the generations, man. They can figure shit out for themselves. I live in a city which isn't. Yeah. It's a fucking eyesore, man.
Right.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, and I really don't understand the whole, this is where we live. It's just so interesting that this is where we live. This is our home. And I used to say this. I used to say that, people don't do that in their own homes. And I'm going to tell you, with the fire department for 25 years, going in and out of people's homes every single day, I can assure you, they do live like this. So it's crazy to me how why do we take and invest our money in anything when all we're going to do is spit on it, throw our cigarette butts wherever we want to, and that's a whole nother issue. It's funny because, and this is a little bit of a story in my own home, which is that when on the April and I, we try to before the lockdown, we would try to go out and have a meal together somewhere at a restaurant like one time per week. And the restaurants that we like to go to, they're a little bit more hip and stuff, and so they all stopped using plastic straws and they switched to paper. Well, the good thing about that is when they switched to paper, it was no longer enjoyable for April to drink her root beer with a meal, because she enjoys having root beer with a meal, and so she no longer does that, because now she has to drink it from a paper straw. It's just not the same. So it's just kind of funny how.
Hey, you know what? I stand with her on this one. The paper straws are shit.
Well, what are you doing with it? I mean, how long are you even supposed to use it? You know what I mean? The other thing that we can do, and that I'm seeing also, is straws like this. Restaurants are using straws like this that are plastic, and but they're not single use. They're multiple use. I think that. I'll speak to the United States, and one of the things I'm very, very excited about where environmentalism is coming is we have started allowing the growth of hemp again.
Yeah.
And so with hemp, I mean, we can take a lot of these plastics that are made with petrochemicals, and we can take and start making them with plant-based oils that disintegrate. Within they disintegrate within less than a year. Whereas like a traditional plastic water bottle that we see everywhere, it's estimated those will take at least 450 years to break down. So all of the plastics that are on the earth right now, they're going to be here for many, many, many generations, because we don't know what they're going to do.
Almost forever.
Yeah.
virtually forever they're going to be. But in my part of the world, people are now actually producing hemp.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. I mean,
I was
another
trying to
really
look for
great.
it. I haven't found it, but yeah, there are companies which are now offering that.
It grows. It takes very little maintenance. You
Yeah.
know, it's very sustainable, a lot like bamboo. You know,
Yeah.
and we see things like bamboo being used for flooring and so forth. The interesting thing to me is we're going to need to get past this. You know, it's green and it's environmentally safe. So, but because what that has done is that's brought along higher price tags with certain products.
Dude, but what we really, really need is a desire to do better, to live a better life. The problem we have is that we don't have that desire. We actually don't want to live a better life. That's the real problem. The day we want to live a better life, no one can stop us. If as a community, we come after people who don't do the right thing, the problem is solved. We're like, hey, it's none of my business, man. I can't stop this guy. Why can't you stop the guy? I've always said, people in my part of the world say, well, laws need to be reinforced, need to be enforced. And I always give this example. Dubai, I've hardly ever seen the police. Singapore, I've never seen the police except for once. Hong Kong, I've hardly ever seen the police. People obey rules and live in a certain way because of social pressure. Now you've got these electric cars coming out of Germany. If you have environmental friendly cars, when you stop at the red light, it turns itself off. And when you touch it, it starts again. Now this is before this, in countries like Denmark and Norway and Finland and Sweden, I remember reading articles 20 years ago. If you didn't switch your ignition off at the light, somebody would come and knock at your window and say, what the fuck are you doing?
Interesting.
Don't do it. So the social pressure is crucial. When we say, it's all right, man, what's the big deal? No, it's not fucking all right. You probably gonna choke and die on this shit, man.
Listen, I think there's a principle that comes into play here. There's a principle that comes into play here, and it's known as the NIMBY principle, NIMBY, which means not in my backyard.
Right, of course, yeah.
NIMBY, the NIMBY rule. So not in my backyard. I mean, this comes up every single time, like here in the U.S., that where the prison wants to, be built. Somebody wants to build a prison somewhere, and then it's always like, well, we want prisons, but we're just not in my backyard. It's the same with pollution. I mean, it's one thing. What does the United States do? We ship our garbage out. We ship our garbage out because we don't want it here. And where do we send it? We send it to places like Pakistan. We send it to places in the Asian continents. Now you know what's happening? China, we've got this thing going on with China. China's no longer buying plastic. So it's not being recycled. And on top of that, oil prices are low enough that it's cheaper to create new plastics as opposed to using recycled. So I think that's part of it. But I'm gonna dispute one thing, and I don't think that we need laws. Because I'm gonna tell you, FQ, I don't need a law to tell me that
man.
I don't. There's a reason I don't drink out of the toilet. There's a reason I don't drink out of the toilet. There's a reason I don't take and throw my garbage in my front yard, because I don't want to live with it. Why are we such filthy creatures? That's really what this comes down to. We can't regulate everything. It shouldn't even come to that. Why is doing the right thing? Why does not living like an asshole? Why does that require a law? Are we that stupid?
Yeah, we are. Yes, we are. We are that stupid. We're fucking killing ourselves. And you know what? Okay, here's the picture. I was just scrolling my timeline. This is from 2012. For the longest time in Karachi, you would see these cars abandoned, and this is one of the poshest areas of the city where rich people live.
Okay.
And these cars are just parked there, and they've been rotting for years. I saw them for like 15 years. Nobody ever picked them up.
Wow.
Okay. And this is just one. I'm scrolling more. This is from 2012. I'll find more shit as I scroll down. And it's just complete chaos. Nobody gives a fuck about anything. Karachi is the city of wall chalking, There's so much fucking graffiti on the streets of Karachi, it's going to kill you, man. There is so much
doesn't this
garbage.
It's going to make sense now? We've talked about like the people not wanting to wear a mask. Why should I wear a mask?
Why should I wear a mask?
This pen. Fuck it. Here you go. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Just throw it on the ground. Who cares? Someone else will pick it up. Maybe your dog will eat it and get sick, and then I don't have to listen to your dog bark. So it makes total sense as to why we're not wearing masks, because we don't even want to take and throw our trash away. And in fact, the people that are wearing masks, somehow that's ending up a whole article right here on the BBC Today called why littering is surging as the lockdowns ease. Well, I wonder, because we're going back outside and we're resuming our old habits.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I'm extremely disappointed with pockets of humanity.
Right. You're right. The filth is back on the streets. Yeah, we are out again.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're out again. Yeah, so I wonder, like the dolphins or the sea life, the aquatic life that ended up coming into the channels where is that, Italy?
No, Nat Geo denied that. That was Venice. Nat Geo denied.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I
news,
appreciate. Hey, don't fact check me. You're censoring.
Good one.
You're a censor. So I think that I just think that it's really interesting. Again, I'm not talking about global warming. I'm not even talking about like corporate greed or contamination or pollution. I'm talking about what we as individual human beings can do. And we're back out on the streets now. So now up. In fact, I'll show this for my friends in the UK right here. Right here in the UK, 10th of June of 2020. So this is just a few days old. Here it is.
Yeah.
Why litter is surging as lockdowns ease. Why? Because humans are back on the street.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well, I would say the infection is back on the street.
Sure. So I think it's really important that we take some time and we
That's
look
what we
how
are, man.
we're
we are an
living,
infection.
man. So, there's an interesting question right here that our good friend Rafia has asked is, what is hemp? Hemp is literally, hemp is truthfully, it's the male marijuana plant. It's the male cannabis plant. However, the male plant doesn't have psychoactive effects. So it's different. When people use cannabis, what they're using is the female plant. That's what has the THC in it. The male plant typically doesn't, or if it does, it's just trace amounts. So it's not really going to do anything. Hemp for years. Actually, in the United States, hemp was the number one crop export. It was truly our number one crop export, and then we stopped it. We stopped it all, like I want to say 1936 is when it really kind of came to a halt. We didn't do too much with it, and then in I believe it was 71 or 72, when Nixon declared war on drugs, all of it went away. Hemp for years was what was a primary fiber for rope. It was used to make canvas. So it's really similar to like cotton. It grows extremely plentiful. It takes very little water. It's almost like an oleander, in that it becomes like it's extremely hardy and then like difficult to kill. But one of the things that you can do with it, Rafia, is they can take hemp and they make they produce oils from it, and then those oils can be used to make plastics. The fibers are used to make clothing, so it's a very sustainable resource that's easy to grow, and it's an amazing cash crop. I just don't understand why more. I do understand why, but I think
Really?
as more and more of the world is saying, you know what, the U.S., we're sick and tired of your bullying and your drug policies. More and more places are going to start using hemp because it's easy. And I'm not an agriculture guy, and pretty much anything I try to grow, I'd kill it. So,
dude, in the attempt to find you pictures of garbage, I have gone back on my timeline 10 years.
Yeah.
And
it's
I'm
easy.
seeing yeah, but you know what? Fuck, man. I don't know if I want to even see this. Let me show you.
So this has been an issue. this has been an issue in my life for years. I can remember my aunt when she was in graduate school. This was, I want to say, like late 70s, early 80s.
Check these pictures. There was a time when Karachi used to get a lot of terrorist attacks. This is after a bomb went off at the CIA, one of our police centers.
Interesting.
And I had gone there to do a show, and these pictures are from that. Then it's like a few hours after this happened. And it's amazing, SUVs had flown up 50 feet and crashed upside down.
Wow. That's amazing.
This is a car.
So what I was saying is, I helped my aunt, my family. We were a part of participating in a research project that she did in graduate school, and it was all on littering. And I remember it because we kind of staged some photos for her project of like driving down the street and dropping aluminum cans out the window and stuff like that. Again, I think recycling is great. However, like we're at a point where we are not going to be able to recycle our way out of this problem, and so really the issue is
how do you say that?
Yeah, somebody's got to buy the plastic. Somebody's got to buy the plastics. And here's the other thing, and I'll speak to the U.S. in this. While most of the plastics. Most of the plastics will say that they're recyclable. We don't have facilities capable of recycling many of these types of plastics.
Dude,
so
are you aware that Norway is short on garbage and they import garbage from countries like Sweden?
Yeah, but that's one country, FQ. I mean, that's one country, and that's not.
Yeah,
it's
not
even like
concept.
that big. I agree. I agree with the concept. What I'm saying is when you start factoring in geopolitical events and stuff.
Fine, yes. Now,
that's really what it comes down to. And so I can just tell you, like, China is no longer there. They have either reduced greatly the amount of used plastic that they were purchasing from the United States. It's either reduced or it's almost none. That was the biggest importer of used plastic, and now they've got enough, apparently. Part of the other issue is that when you look at certain brands, they don't want to take and change their product because the recycled plastic, the end product, they're saying it's too inconsistent. It's inconsistent, and they can't reproduce and replicate the same exact result, which is what big manufacturers want. It's what people, when we go to the store, that's what it is that we're expecting, to get the same thing that we've bought for year after year after year. And now it's recycled. And then what happens? I can just tell you, because I like to buy things that are recycled. And what happens? They up the price. So it makes it cost ineffective to do that.
I'm going to plug in something else here. We need to reduce the amount of shit we buy.
Absolutely.
We're producing too much, we're buying too much, we're wasting too much, we're throwing away too much shit. And one of the things which I've become really pissed off with is the mobile phone. Now these fuckers keep taking out a new model every 3 months, and the only thing new about it is it's got a better fucking camera.
Right.
Doesn't matter how good your camera is, you cannot become a camera. A telephone will never become a fucking camera. Not just yet. Another 5 years, maybe. Not right now. The optics are not there. So I keep telling people now, for God's sake, invest in a camera which will cost you like half the price of a phone, and then just get a simple phone which does your WhatsApp. And another interesting thing that has happened in this pandemic and lockdown is, I think mobile phone usage has reduced tremendously. People are using their laptops again.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I'm hardly using my phone now.
You know, that's really interesting. I hadn't even thought about that, but you know, that's probably true. And it's interesting to bring up the mobile phone. I keep my phones forever, and this last one, my iPhone 10 XR or whatever, and I was disappointed because I got less than a year out of that. I mean, I broke that right away. So I don't even know how I did that, but it. You know, you're exactly right. I know that I've seen a lot more people taking and using their computers and using their laptops. Yeah. So that's a really good point. Which hopefully then the batteries, the plastics, and everything else from the cell phones stay out of the landfills. That'd be brilliant.
I think this is the last year where mobile phones can have separate charger ports. I think Europe has already. I think 2021, all phones will have to have the same charger port. And they will not come with chargers and cables. You will buy the charger and the cable separately.
Wow.
I think Europe has enforced that, or I think 2021. That's why even iPhone is going towards a USB-C. They don't have a fucking choice.
Interesting. I did not know that.
No more cables, no more chargers. Buy one charger, one cable, charge fucking everything. That is why everything is going. Even the new MacBooks are USB-C.
Yes. Yes, almost all of my devices are USB-C. It's better. I mean, it's better technology.
Right.
So
that's Europe.
But if we can reduce,
shoving a stick up.
Hey, you know what? If we can reduce the amount of chargers and everything else, I know that you know, I just was going through some stuff in cleaning out, and what did I do? I came across all kinds of those little white. Well. No, I can't find it. But you know those little white things that you plug your iPhone cord into, the USB, the wall to USB charger. I found a bunch of those, and on
the
top
of charger,
dude, a whole bunch of the white cords. I mean, they're still wound up in the casing that I hadn't used. So I listen. I'll just come out and say it. I mean, I am a cheap ass dude. I am. I don't like spending money. I don't like buying stuff because the more I buy, the more I consume, the more money I have to go out and make. So for me, it comes down to, you know, I use, I have reduced the amount of like Ziploc baggies I use, the amount of plastics I use. I've switched back into like glass mason jars. I'm using big glass bowls with plastic lids that are multiple use. So that to keep my vegetables in, and actually my produce actually lasts longer keeping it this way.
You know what, dude? Let's not do this here right now. I think we should do a show just telling people how we personally reduce the amount of shit.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, we touched on it with minimalism, but I think we're talking a little bit different here. And different. What can we reuse and repurpose?
Minimalism is different. And I'm not against consumerism. Buy the fucking best thing you need. Perfectly all right. Just don't buy crap that you're going to have to throw away. And we have to stop falling into the trap of companies trying to sell us shit we don't need.
Absolutely. And I want to come out and just...
For the longest time, I upgraded my phone for the camera. And you know what? I was of the philosophy, the best camera is the one in your pocket. That is true. The best camera is the one that you have in your pocket. If you don't have a camera, what's the point? It's sitting at home. So now I went and bought the most fucking expensive compact camera. I got belt bags with a lanyard. The lanyard goes in my belt loop, and this goes there. And I now carry my compact camera. And my phone is a cheap-ass Chinese camera, which has even the back is now broken. I have to tape it in just to keep it alive.
Yeah, and I mean, I totally get that. And I want to come out and say that I am not against plastics at all. I am not against plastics. Plastics have revolutionized our world. I mean, look at healthcare. I mean, to be able to dispose. I mean, I worked in healthcare when we were trying to sterilize metal instruments and stuff. So single-use plastic. I mean, we've reduced the amount of transmission of infections and so forth. So it's good, and it's a wonderful, amazing thing that we've been able to create. I'm just simply saying that let's take it when it's used, outlived its effectiveness. effectiveness. Let's take and dispose of it properly. Let's put it into a recycling center. Let's demand that we have more recycling centers. I can't stop factories from pumping out massive amounts of shit into the air that we all breathe, but I can take and make sure that my refuse goes into the garbage can. I can make sure that I'm consuming way less. And I like to live my life by a statement. I say it's, consume less and create more. Yeah. But for me, creating more comes from reusing things, repurposing things, even like switching from a plastic soap containers with the the pump soaps, switching those to glass and refilling them. Even if you do that 3 times, you've reduced the amount of waste. So I'm not saying to take and live like a miser. I'm not saying to be totally cheap like I am. I'm just simply saying
be smart,
there's ways
man. Just be smart.
Be smart about it and stop making it out like politicians and lawmakers have to create laws for us to not to be good stewards of what we're given. Ready to take some questions, FQ?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to make a quick comment here. During this pandemic, we ended up buying these disposable water bottles because those refillable water bottles are prone to infection. So we've got this endless stream of bottles. Bean and I were just saying yesterday, we'll chop the head off, fill them with some mud, and just planting shit in them, even shit we don't know. We don't need. Just put some potatoes, some tomatoes, some whatever. Just keep planting stuff and pass it off.
Right.
Why throw the bottle? You've got the bottle. I can't help it. But let's just put some use and then leave it. Somebody will find some use for it. Anyways, let's go to the comments quickly.
Yeah. So let's see. Kushban, thank you so much for joining us. Let's see. Saeed, primary reason are capitalists and the government hiring and funded by capitalists to promote these policies? Possibly. Listen, we're talking about policies, Saeed, and that's a little bit bigger than typically where I go. I look at it, what can I personally do to take and help this situation and to not contribute to living in a toilet. Which is, that's the way I really look at this. I think activism is good. I just also think though that the easiest way for me to go about making change is to change my world, and that is to make sure that my garbage goes into the garbage can, it stays in the garbage can, and that I reduce my consumption of single-use plastics as much as I possibly can. I live in the United States, man, and so to get away from that, I can't possibly get away from it altogether. But I can change my buying habits, and I can take and change, the way that I reuse things instead of just living in such a disposable society. Irfan, thank you. Hello, nice to see you. Almost 6,000 cases. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I think you're talking about the COVID, but
new COVID cases in Pakistan today.
Oh, there's 6,000 new ones today, or you're up to a total of 6,000.
No, I think new ones today.
Well, then you should maybe go to the garbage dump and find masks for everybody.
I think we need to put our prime minister into that.
There you go. That happens when people driving the car. And I'm going to say, I never understood that either. I was raised to not litter and to not do that. If you have trash in the car, you keep it in the car. Until I was a kid, and when I was a kid, though, I lived in a different part of the country, and that was extremely common. And so I would see relatives of mine, they would drive down the street and just throw stuff out the car window, and I'm like, I don't understand. Why are we doing this? Well, it's tall grass. Nobody can see it. Oh, so if nobody can see it, it's okay to litter and to pollute. Wrong. And Kushbu, hello to you. Nice to see you again. Thank you so much. This one, you're gonna have to help me out with this one, FQ. Here people spit Gouda everywhere. I'm assuming that's like slimy spit or something.
Well, that's basically a nasty version of chewing tobacco.
Oh, cool. Well, we should talk about that at some point. I lost 8 teeth to chewing tobacco, so we should talk about that sometime.
People lose half their mouth due to cancer.
Oh, I got lucky.
But you know what? They go right back at it.
Yeah, I got really lucky. Unfortunately, I just ended up with 8 gold teeth. So now I look like a pirate. Yeah. Okay. Right. Listen, I mean, this stuff is always, it's always going to be there, love. So it's always going to be there. I appreciate you joining and participating as always. You always bring a lot of value to the show. So thank you so much. Yeah, we just answered this. What is Gutta? Yeah, we just answered that. So I guess it's some sort of a gross chewing tobacco type of thing. So,
yeah, really gross.
You're fun. Trash is bad enough, but people worldwide abusing the environment. Yeah. The CO2, I mean, everything, Irfan, everything takes its toll, and I think we're seeing that, and the ozone, everything else. The interesting thing to me is to hear, like here in the United States, we've pretty much eliminated all types of environmental regulations and that sort of thing. And I have family members that will argue to the death that human behavior is not a part of the pollution, climate change, or any of the plastics in the ocean. They will adamantly deny that human behavior takes and plays any role in that at all, which is just dumb. It doesn't even make sense. Chewable thing to eat. That's been okay. Thank you. Clean the streets of Karachi before he died. I'm not sure who Junaid Jamshed is.
Yeah. A lot of cleaning campaigns. He was one of our singers who died in an air crash.
Oh, okay. Got it. I'm not sure what this one says.
Yeah.
Anything with this one?
Let it go, man.
Let it go?
Yeah.
Got it. Smog was term coined, I believe, in the 19th century for the atmosphere in London, which is a mixture of smoke and fog. Irfan, you're probably correct. It's kind of, I mean, honestly, I think it's the same thing as, for a long time, we always heard of global warming, right? I mean, global warming became too scary, and so George W. Bush, I believe it was George W., that actually changed it to climate change because it wasn't quite as scary. I think we should be scared of this. I think I absolutely do. I mean, I remember like back in the late 80s, hearing about all the acid rain and TV shows doing, episodes on acid rain. So it's just really interesting. Rafia, one time I tried to go green, did it for 48 hours. I don't think we're just talking about going green, friend. We're talking about changing the way that we live, because if we don't change the way that we live, it's the same as not wearing a mask. We don't wear a mask, we increase our risk of getting the virus. If we pollute the earth, then we increase our risk of getting all kinds of diseases. I mean, we truly do. I mean, you look at a lot of the autoimmune diseases that we can't explain. People want to take and say, oh, it's vaccines, it's this, it's that. Why are we continuing to inject plastics into our body? Maybe we should think of that. Let's break it down a little bit further. How about we stop eating plastic? We can stop eating plastic by throwing it in the ocean. So instead of getting all mad at people that take and do all this, these environmental atrocities, let's look at what we're doing to contribute to the problem. Listen, everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's engagement. If you haven't done so yet, please go to my website, DennisTyrell.com. Follow me. Go to the video section. Click on the videos. Go to the YouTube. We're also streaming on YouTube today. So we're trying to get everybody over to YouTube because you can actually rewind on YouTube, kind of get a little bit more context if you come into the program late. There's FQs, FaisalQureshi.com. Go to his channel as well. Go to his website as well. Click on his channels. Follow him, subscribe, like his stuff. The same with mine, and then you'll get updates about when we have new content. So, we're not trying to take and, we're not trying to necessarily solve the world today, world's problems with pollution. I mean, that's going to be a huge undertaking. However, what we can do is we can look at ways that we as humans, we as individuals can be better stewards of the land, like we're taught to do. So, in closing,
Rafi's made a comment, can we do more FCUKs? Rafi, that's all we're doing. Reboot has become FCUK, if you didn't notice. We're no longer telling you 5 ways to fix yourself.
Right. And I'm going to take on Hamad. Hamad, listen, I completely agree. You know what? Supermarkets, I'm going to just tell you, finding a farmer's market or something local, that's very, very challenging. It's extremely challenging. However, what you can do is if you have to go to a supermarket, take your own bags with you when they allow that again. Take your own bags. Stop taking all those produce bags. There's ways that we can take and still not change our lifestyle very much, And we can take and we can take and reduce the amount of things that we actually consume. One cool thing I'm going to say is the supermarket I like to go to, especially to get my produce, because I'm very I live a very plant-based lifestyle, and the interesting thing was probably 2 months ago I asked for paper bags. So they said, "Oh, do you want paper? We're going to put the bag, your groceries in plastic." I'm like, "No, I want the paper bags." They gave me the paper bags because I had forgotten my cloth ones. And with that, I used those bags for 8 different supermarket trips. So they weren't new anymore. I finally had to get rid of them because they broke out of the bottom. But my point is that I used each of those paper bags for 8 times instead of bringing them home and throwing them away. So I totally...
Even your plastic bags, if you do end up getting them, just don't get rid of them because you have no place to keep them. Please use them as much as you can.
Absolutely.
Before you can't eliminate plastic usage, at least try to reduce and be smart about it.
Absolutely. And I think that's really what we're talking about is just like, let's be smart. Let's try to be good stewards of what we've been given. Let's just be responsible. Let's stop blaming the lawmakers for not passing laws and saying, oh, people don't follow it because there's no law. People don't follow the law. So that's a weak ass argument. So hey, thank you so much, everybody. Like I always say at the end of the Back to the Basics broadcast. Next time, kick ass always in all ways. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.